Oh, hello everybody, and welcome back to Miniature Dragon Comic Review, coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. As always, I am your host for the evening, Daniel Doc Gentry, and I'm joined by our comic gurus from Miniature Dragon Comics, Woody and Alex. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Woody, you can unmute yourself and talk if you want.
Damn it. I said I'm going for a tree jacking today. Noting the tree behind me and pieces of tree landing in my shirt. Hey,
so I'm still having some problems with Skype. I do apologize to everybody. So the screen's going to be bouncy. The people aren't going to be looking at you, but you will hear them talking. I do apologize. I will be trying to fix that while we keep going.
Okay.
So, so you guys are hot off of the Toy and Geek show. How did that go? You want to give us a rundown real quick?
That was our best show of all time. That was fantastic.
Y'all up for rocks.
Yeah. Well, we also had a better setup for making money and selling things and engaging with customers, and it's definitely like the template for shows going forward.
Yep, it only took us several years, almost a decade, to figure it out.
Yeah. Yep. No, yeah, it was a very successful show.
So I don't think we've ever touched on this. How long has Miniature Dragon Comics been around?
Well, about 2 years, but we were involved with Thunderfrog Studios, so like Alex and I have been doing comics together for about 6 years. But we broke away to do our own imprint just a couple of years ago.
And it's definitely been a fun ride of learning a lot of stuff of how the industry works, meeting a lot of just great, talented people.
Yeah. Working with Thunderfrog, was great. Learned a lot of stuff, but there was a point when you got to do your own thing, and it was time to split up. Though I think we started laying the foundation for this about 3 years ago, on the way back from WonderCon.
Right. That's where you started really heavily coming up with the idea of cyber symbiosis.
Mm-hmm. Well, sort of. I mean, the idea goes back many years before that. Like,
but I mean, actually implementing it.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of funny. I was looking at the other day, and there were plot ideas that I'm playing with that were actually written for other things many years before. So it's like I'm just taking stories that I thought that I would never use, and they're kind of like combining together into this one thing.
Which definitely does say something about there's definitely a good part of hoarding and keeping ideas and plot points.
I'm a literary hoarder. Well, it's kind of funny. Like, it's an ever evolving thing. Like, I had conceived of it to be one thing when I first came up with the idea, and then it slowly turned into something else. And then you got the influence of the artists and other people involved, and eventually you end up with this thing at the other end, and it's not entirely what you thought you were going to make, but it's better.
So, we got some interesting ones this week, right?
We do. So let's, instead of keep waiting, let's get started, shall we?
Indeed.
First one will be Nightwing number 46. Very interesting. This one came out the 4th of July, not too long ago this year. And what I thought was interesting about this from DC Comic is, let me do this so that you get an understanding of what I was going through. It's written by Benjamin Piercy, and there's pencilers, Christopher Mooneyham, Latlet Kumar Sharma, and then it's colored by Nick Flaherty, all by himself, but then the inks are Scott Hanna, Klaus Eisen, Christopher Mooneyham, Lalette Kumar Sharmi, and then the cover was done by Jody Blair, Dave McCaig, Mike Perkins, Declan Shalvey. I mean, come on, give me a break, guys. Usually there's like 2 or 3 names. What is this?
I think somebody had trouble keeping a schedule.
Is that what happens? I thought that was really interesting.
Well, that does happen where they got an artist, he gets the assignment, and then sometimes something comes up, like they have a kid or somebody has a car accident or whatever, and like
carjacking.
Carjacking, and they have trouble keeping up on the schedule, so they got to bring in a sub, and sometimes the regular guy can't do it, and then they bring in like 3 or 4 people to do the issue or something. I don't know. It's like, who knows what happened behind the scenes, but it's not unheard of for this to happen.
Also, like, one of the things about the big studio companies that do comics is that things are done months, if not a year, advance before it actually hits retail.
Yeah.
So to get a lot of these things done, sometimes you need a huge circuit of different artists to basically go through a title. So, for production, it's kind of like the difference between the mom and pop, building a car, restoring a muscle car, or having a full industry where you have a lot of people basically grinding it out.
Well, I had to take a second and double check who worked on this thing, because one of the panels I was like, did John Romita Jr. do this? And he didn't, but it looked like his work. But so when I picked this one, I was looking through the list of Comixology on Wednesday, and I was like, "Ooh, what looks interesting?" And this one looked really interesting because they were basically promising that Nightwing would be battling a villain that he's never fought before, a new kind of villain. And it was an interesting idea where they've got an augmented reality environment, like right out of Shadowrun practically, and he can see it, but nobody else can, and he's having to react to it because he can feel it. So you got this internet thing that's wrapping him with tendrils that's holding him back because that's what he perceives, even though they're not really there. And I thought that was a really interesting concept for a villain, where it's strictly existing in the internet, but yet it impacts the real world.
Okay, yeah, no, I found it really hard to follow at the very beginning, and I think that you're hitting the reason why, for me, it was very difficult. I couldn't get a grasp on what was going on originally.
Yeah, well, we're coming in the middle of a story, and it ended up being issue 3. But I actually, in that regard, I actually liked it because, I didn't have a problem with it personally because all the context clues were there. All the characters said all the things that you needed to hear to kind of catch on with what was happening. At least for me. I guess not so much for you.
Well, again, this is, I don't read this. So,
yeah, right.
I mean, that's why I'm
not
here.
a Nightwing guy either.
Well, and again, why I'm here is I'm not a big. I read some comics, but I'm not definitely a comic aficionado.
Mm-hmm. Right. But what did you think of the story, Alex?
I thought it wasn't too bad. I thought it was definitely, the creativity is what I did like about it. It kind of felt something a little different than just, kind of same old. But I definitely do see your point of view, Doc, of, kind of like you're getting such a snippet of what's going on opposed to, part of that full story. I gotta say, though, it's like the part that I really liked was more of the art. It kind of reminded me some of the stuff that was kind of late 80s, early 90s, style-wise.
I think the premise of the story might have been better executed as part of a role-playing game, where you've got players who are interacting with this thing, and they can't tell what's real and what's not. Like, I was looking at it where they have, they were using the holographic emitters in the streetlights to create like this tidal wave of horror coming after Nightwing and Batgirl. And I had this thought of, what if an entire city was covered in holographic emitters, and then you had the players running through this shit, and they couldn't tell what was real and what was not, and you could have this literally this whole horror story in this environment, and the chaos that could result from this. There's a lot of interesting ideas that could be developed from this idea, which is going to be resolved in 4 issues and go back to status quo. I'm sure this will have no bearing on the future going forward in the series.
All right. So what I got is the 3 things: art, art was really good. I really thought the art was phenomenal in this. It was really neat. Nightwing. I don't read a lot of Nightwing. I'm not a big fan of Nightwing, but this one, the detail was incredible. They took the time to do some stuff, and when you put on the special goggles to try to figure out what was real and what wasn't, the detail of that was amazing too. Something as simple as that changes the art in a book. So visually, it was an awesome book. The story, again, I'm not a fan. This is number 46. So there's stuff going on before, which I guess would have led into it if I picked up these comic books before. The story for me is a first time. If this was the issue I picked up, I'm kind of lost, but it did a good job at the end of picking it up. It brought it back to what I expect from DC Comics, what I know about the Nightwing mantra. It was cool to see Batgirl in him, and to find out that they're in a relationship was interesting as well.
I'm not sure that they are now. They used to be. I actually, reading it, I wasn't sure from reading it if they are hooked up, but they definitely were flirty.
Right. That's true too, but they did talk about being together at one point. The lettering in this was really good, and the story and the lettering worked together with the way that the boxes lined up. Mm-hmm. Again, they went traditional. They didn't do anything outside the ordinary. They didn't try something brand new. Which, I mean, if you don't have a reason, stick with what you know.
Yeah. It's I call it a solid C effort.
All right, but we're way over, so let's switch over to Captain America #1, which also came on July 4th. This one's by Marvel Comics, and this one, again, just to give you guys a heads up on what I meant about how many people were involved. This one was written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. The art was Linnell Francis Yu, and the cover is Alex Ross. And that is the end of everybody involved with this one.
Yeah. Well, they definitely got an A-lister to do the cover, that's for sure.
That's true. What'd you think, by the way?
Well, so this is another one that I picked up because I thought it was interesting, and mainly because it's coming off of the storyline where Hydra had taken over the United States. And what I had heard was that they were basically planning a story where Captain America was kind of going on an apology tour, even though he wasn't, because a fake Captain America had led Hydra to conquer the U.S.
Yeah, by the way, a great way to save your asses, Marvel, because there was an uprising with Captain America being what do you call it? He was a undercover Hydra agent that entire time.
Yeah, Captain Hydra.
But what I'm saying is that they went with that storyline, and it feels to me, because I saw that issue, somebody let me borrow it because I was so ticked off to even hear about it, and then. Yeah. The uproar that came from that was just incredible. So this feels like pulling back, trying to fix a problem that had happened by saying, "Oh, it was a fake Captain America."
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because it was a problem and an uproar, but Marvel sold so many books that they extended the series longer than it was actually supposed to be. The writer, Alex and I think I talked about this in a previous episode, but they had. The series was only supposed to go on so long, and then it was so successful, oh no, this is the event. And because people hated it, they were talking about it, but they were also buying it. And, it didn't end the way it was supposed to end. And, it's just one of those things where it's just money,
Okay, I'm listening. How was it supposed to end?
Well, I actually don't know. We never did, as far as I know, we never found out. It's just that apparently the writer had a particular ending in mind to undo it and to fix the problem, and it wasn't able to end the way he wanted. He had to make a lot of filler and take the story another 2 years, and it wasn't supposed to go as long, and they no, we're doing an event, Hydra's taken over, blah blah blah. It's you're rolling your eyes. Everybody else did too.
Well, I'm not. I mean, okay, so trust me, I'm not mad that they went outside the box. I'm not.
I thought it was a neat idea.
Personally. I think you need to do stuff like that, but you can't take somebody like Captain America, who's been fighting Hydra for such a long time, and then make him a closet Hydra agent. It doesn't make any sense, because there were so many times in the storyline that they needed to push his button then if he really was. There were so many pinnacle times that they could have pushed the button and got it moving, and they didn't, which is that's a huge plot hole.
Well, for me, it's a missed opportunity because there's so many ways that you could have really had some fun, like really taken this story in a seriously dramatic direction. And in the end, all it was they took the memories of the old Captain America, which were trapped in his mind somewhere, and gave him a new body. And Hydra Cap is in the original Cap body with Hydra Cap's memories. And then they took the memories of the original and put that in a new body. And it's like...
it makes me kind of feel like...
They solved it with magic.
It's like... It makes me feel like on the regards of... If that was the elevator pitch to get this thing going...
It wasn't.
But, I mean, it's like... If that was like the elevator pitch to like say like... Hey, guys, Marvel... Let's do this thing. Let's share a ride on this elevator and let me pitch this idea. Like I wonder if it would have flew.
Well,
I do find it interesting of like when we reviewed this with Keenan.
Keenan, yeah.
One of my statements that I do recall was saying like, is this a post-it note? Is this something that will go forward and be archived into the mythos of Captain America and go forward with stories, or will it just be scrapped, taken off the board and forgotten? And I do find it interesting. Well, my point is, it's like I find it interesting that like, this actually did go forward. Like there's aftermath. There's been plenty of times where Marvel, DC, various other companies have done things to their characters and then just kind of forgot about it. Like a good example is with X-Men. You got a character like Extreme. Yeah. Google it sometime. He's a special character from the 90s. He's got a rat tail. He's got like dreadlocks. He's the kind of brother of Scott Summers. He has bone abilities and like the ability to make people's blood on fire if it's oxygenized.
All right, I don't mean to tell us. I know we got a ton of things, but we have like 10 minutes left to get to the feature,
right?
And we're really deep in this one.
So back to this book.
Yeah, just this book, real quick. Give me your synopsis.
Yeah. Well, this book to me reads like the apology, like the apology to the fans, and like what Doc was saying, like it. What I think is like, I mean, obviously the story moved forward, but when I read this, what I get from this, because nothing happens in this first issue really, it's just a little bit of drama and that's it. This feels like they're already trying to bury it. The Hydra Cap story, and I guarantee you give it 2 years, it might as well never happened.
I think a lot of people almost forgot about it. Alex, do you have anything to add so we can just switch over?
No, I pretty much agree. I think this is going to be one of those, it happened, and they're just going to move into the next story arc.
It's not even a my bad, it's just keep going.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, you might as well. Okay, so the main one.
So the main one is Volume 1 of Birthright called Homecoming.
Yes, this book is great.
And that's why I'm really sad we left ourselves only 10 minutes for this.
Oh, we can go over by 5.
No, we can't. So
Birthright is this really neat indie book where this guy is out with his wife and his 2 kids. They're about to have a birthday party. One of the kids goes in the forest and he disappears. And then the whole family falls apart because everybody thinks the dad did it. He must have killed his kid and hit the kid, which, in 5 minutes, sure.
Not the brother.
No, well, everybody thinks that the father killed the kid.
Right, and then the mom thinks that the father killed the kid.
Yeah, she's not entirely, like, she the doubt is nagging at her, but it's like, okay, in 5 minutes, he murdered his son and disposed of the body, sure.
Right.
But then the kid shows up a year later as like a 30-year-old Viking warrior, like a Conan guy.
He's a dragon slayer. They even said it in the book. God.
Yeah. Oh, God. But yeah, it's a neat premise because like this guy, this adult comes back who is clearly your kid. He's got the same DNA, same fingerprints. He has all the memories, and yet he's been living on a planet for 30 years slaying monsters. Do you believe him? Well, today in our world, no, but in that world, apparently you could. The father is so desperate for redemption. He's like, hell yeah, let's do this, son.
Well, I think more importantly with it, it's a little different than that. First thing I found interesting when I did a little background in this is there are 2 indie publishing companies that are involved with Birthright. It was Image and Skybound.
Mm-hmm. Skybound is imprint underneath Image.
Okay, and I didn't know that, and I just wanted to throw it in there that I saw that it was 2 of them. This one is an older one. This one was released March 4th, 2015. In another short list, written by Joshua Williamson. By the way, kudos, Joshua. We'll get to that in a second. And art by Andre Bresson and Adriano Lucas. If I screwed up your names, by the way, call me or touch base with me somehow, and I will get you on the show, and I will apologize to you, everybody, in person.
That would be great if Williamson would come on the show, because then he might actually say more than 2 words to me.
Sounds a little butthurt.
I met him at WonderCon, and he gave me the "Go away, kid, you're bothering me" line.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Birthright. Okay, first off, really neat. I got to say, the art is incredible in this. The premise was a little shady at first. I agree, because it's like a big loophole kind of thing. But
sure,
I'm in the medical field. You can't fake things. You might be able to fake dental, but you'll mess it up somewhere. It'll be found.
Yeah.
You can't fake DNA. You can get DNA and have it mixed up, but you can't fake DNA. You can't fake fingerprints. That's a big one. And it's like, okay, everything's pointing towards this is your son, and nobody wants to believe it. Why? Well, the mother gave her little dosage in it. I won't tell why, but in the book, you get the feeling like she wasn't happy in the marriage, and she was using that as the excuse.
That's exactly what's going on. Yeah. No, it's over the course of the series, it's an interesting picture of a relationship between 2 people that probably should never have gotten married, even though they were in love. And like the dynamic between the 2 of them, as far as like the challenges that a married couple goes through, it's pretty real. And I like that. And then having to ultimately confront that this is your kid, and once you've made that decision, you have to see it through. And it's, this story goes to some interesting places.
All right, but for the first part of this book, I found it very interesting that not only he comes back, but then like partway through you find out what he's really there for. I don't want to ruin it, but it's really neat. The lettering in the boxes at that part, really well done, actually. Because just changing the color of it really made me feel like something was up. Like something was new there. I thought that was interesting. I love that it looked like somebody got their kid to draw the map of this to put in the comic book too, which is really cool. This comic book has a lot of redeeming features. I would read it because I want to see where it goes, because it was really well written, and that's what I wanted to get to. This is a very loosey-goosey concept, and when you give a loosey-goosey concept to a good writer, they'll make it work. And this writer made it work.
And one of the things I really like about it is how not black and white the story is. And like I've read all the issues up till now, because it's still an ongoing series. So you could pick this up and have a good complete story. But it's like all the way to where we're at right now. I kind of forget. I think we're at least 30 issues in, and I still don't know who the good guys and bad guys really are in this story. And that's something that I really admire in it. In the book. So
as you go on, they pulled the World of Warcraft thing, right? Oh, the Horde isn't bad; they're just misunderstood. Here's what really happened.
It's not even that black and white. I mean, like there are so many shades of gray in between, and there's a point where you're thinking, oh my God, we finally like solved the major problem. The hero can be the hero now. Nope.
Don't ruin it for me, but I'll tell you one point that made me stop and look, and don't tell me if I'm right, but I got to a point where I saw the picture of him at the very beginning when he was explaining what he was doing. His girlfriend looked shady as hell to me. I had to go back to that picture a couple times because she doesn't fit in that picture.
Right. The picture of the princess as an adult, right?
I think that's the one. Well, what I felt like they were saying when we got to it,
Yeah. Well, keep reading. That will make some more sense as you go. They actually haven't I won't say anything, but it's it's very. Oh, it also something that was interesting too is like, okay, so he's the chosen one, right? And it's kind of funny, like the concept of the chosen one, because it just means you were chosen. It doesn't mean you have a destiny. It just means like you were chosen, and so you've got to do it. Well, okay, well I have to do the inventory. I am the chosen one. I mean, like that's literally what it what it comes down to.
I see what you're saying, but the concept of this is really cool. This is a good DMGM game, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I got out of it. It was incredible. The art is off the scale, to be honest with you. This was 2015.
The same art team, by the way, all the way through.
Good, because in 2000, this blew me right because it was 2015, and I love the part where they get to the old guy on the porch who he claims is like a mage, and he has to destroy him. Like that was really cool because like up until the part where he reveals himself, I'm like, dude, you're gonna try to hurt an old dude, and like this is not gonna go well for you. The art's amazing. The story, at first, it's hard. You have to make it through the first part, I'll be honest with you. Like, partway through the first part, almost halfway through, when they're just doing the father, son, mother thing, I almost wanted to give up. But I knew there was an end result, something at the end, and as I pushed forward, like I said, then it got interesting. Right when they introduced Mikey, the main character, back into this, that's when it starts to get interesting again. And I thank God I made it there because it was difficult to make it there. I'm not going to lie.
I felt the same way because I bought the first issue and it's like, this doesn't really interest me. But I picked up the first trade because it was on sale on Comixology.
Okay.
And when I read by the end of the first, by the time you get done with the first graphic novel, you're in.
Yeah, like I said, you had to make it through this first volume 1. I had to make it halfway through, and then boom, then it all changed. And then it was interesting, and now I want to see more, and then it like ends a little too soon for me kind of thing. But again, I thought it was super interesting and a lot of fun. And like I said, the lettering in this, like I said, with that other being that's there, the pink lettering, changed everything. And also, what the hell moment was great. Alex, you've been pretty quiet. What do you think?
So, I do feel like it was... first part of the story feels like it's a slice of life kind of story. Like if you took all the elements of supernatural out of it, it would have been basically a father that loses a child, and the repercussions that happen in part of that family structure, and like how you were saying about who did it, what happened, and all that kind of details. And like if you took out once again that supernatural thing, it'd be a different type of story. It would be a slice of life. And then having what happens within the story, the characters, and like how you were making mention about DNA, and this actually being the child that goes to another dimension and has these crazy adventures that turns him from a child to an actual adult. This really does make it a interesting story of like what the progression is, what happened, this person becoming a man because he went to another dimension.
All right, so I got to flip to the opening screen because we are right now at 30 minutes. We could talk. These were 3 bad comics, Woody, because we want to keep talking about all of them. I mean, to put in the same show. I don't mean bad comics in general. So, real quick, can you give me your final thoughts on them?
Nightwing, I would, as I said earlier, it's a solid C effort. I would give it a 3 out of 5. It's not a great comic. It's not a terrible comic. It kind of feels like it's got a fun idea, but a lot of unrealized potential, and didn't hook me to keep reading. Captain America, I give it a 2 out of 5. Like nothing happens. Like there's nothing going on in it, and it's entirely based upon having read things that came before, and it's not a good comic for a first time reader. I give it 2 out of 5. But I think that the Birthright, I mean, I'm still reading it. That comic is awesome. It's definitely a 5 out of 5. Like, great series, and it's great because you can pick it up from the beginning, and you don't have to worry about past continuity. You can just, grab the first graphic novel and keep going. It's you know, and be there until it, and when it ends, it will end. And you know, good story.
Yep, Alex.
So Nightwing, I agree with Woody. It would have been a great idea for like a role-playing campaign. You know, like use it as source material to making it to inspire your game. But besides that, as a story, eh.
Yeah.
As Cap goes, you know, this is a post-it note that I feel like is going to be in the trash bin, and they're going to probably do some better stories with Cap once again, because he's got such an iconic part of comics and Americana.
Yeah.
And then as Birthright goes, you know, this was a solid story. Like, it had a really good flow. It had great art, and I'd like to see where this goes. I feel like it's as maybe not as strong as Saga, but it's definitely within one of those books that's you know, near Saga's level.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Nightwing.
It's indie. You can do whatever you want. You know.
Nightwing. If you're looking for something and you collect for art and not necessarily story, or you're okay with mediocre stories, which is at this point what it is. Like I said, it's just because it's the 46 and we didn't do 45. The art is totally worth owning this. I think personally, that's just what I think about looking at it. Captain America #1, hit or miss. I felt like they were going down a political alley that they don't want to go down, but they're gonna do it anyways because, well, heck, we're the writers. And what are you gonna do? Stop us? It doesn't feel like the old Captain America, and I understand that people change and character development and all that, but I mean, your ideologies don't change that much. So it feels like they're going to go another way with Captain America, and it feels like this might not be the Captain America. This feels like a new iteration of it. Birthright is extremely well done. Again, it's real hard to get through the first half of it, but the rest of it, the ending is what always gets you. The ending brings you back. You want it. The art in it is really good, well thought out. The storyline's really good, and everything else was amazing on it. I thought it was great. Also, I just want to say one more thing is thank you for... What the heck? What do you got? Motorcycles running by? One more thing about us is thank you for joining us. This will be the first stream on MD Comics channel, so just tell your friends. Twitch.tv/MD Comics. Thank you for joining us. You guys have anything else?
No, just you know, check out conwaytheseries.com. New pages every week.
And I have a new video on Cujin Comic at YouTube. Go check it out.
Oh yeah, and we just finally got around to posting our review of The Incredibles, and we're going to go see Ant-Man tonight, and we'll have a review up for that pretty soon too.
Nice. So, anyways, everybody keep it nerdy and live your dreams.
Bye.